other team with defense and a few swings. LFGM, it's an orange and blue thing. Listen to the show and peep what these dudes bring. If you didn't know, it's an orange and blue thing. Hope to win the championship and a few rings. We're talking baseball. It's an orange and blue thing. Walk off if the game's tied like shoestrings. It's a Mets podcast, orange and blue thing. Beat the other team with defense and a few swings. LFGM, it's an orange and blue thing.
What's up, Mets fans? Opening day eve, live here from Citi Field in the parking lot. There is nobody here except for me and Mr. Pete McCarthy. What's up, Pete?
And we're real. We're not virtual fans, virtual podcast hosts like you see in some places now.
We are not virtual. We are not cardboard cutouts, even though they're not cardboard. A lot of people are asking the same question. Last night there was a big storm that rolled through Queens. I don't know if you had the thunder. You probably had a lot of thunder and lightning out
See
here.
the video of the Statue of Liberty getting hit with the lightning? Which
that looked fake, right?
Spectacular.
It probably wasn't fake, but that definitely looked fake.
Something like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, there's so many apps now where people can just, even those deep fakes and things like that. I believe it was real. But anyway, a lot of rain rolled through the area if you're not from New York, or maybe you were sleeping last night. Maybe you worked days. But last night it was a pretty bad storm here. And a lot of the beat that were here, I guess they were doing something here late last night, but maybe there was an inter-squad game or something was going on here last night. So when the storm rolled through, the internet started blowing up with photos of the cutouts being trampled by the rain. This was the first real test of if these things were going to last. And a lot of fans were running like, oh, I hope they're waterproof. And they're not actually cardboard. I don't know if we talked about this on the show before, but they're digital printouts on plastic, like you'd see like those lawn signs for landscapers or a house for sale or whatever it may be. So don't worry, if you paid your bucks for the cutouts here, they should be safe.
You're very durable. You're more durable than you think with your plastic cutout.
Unless
the wind picks up, then I suppose you're in trouble. But if it made it through last night, I'm sure they'll be okay.
Yeah, who knows? A twister rolls through and then you're hanging out on third base. Luckily, ours did make it through the night. Let me show you ours here. If you haven't seen my photo posted yet, I just put it on Twitter. Thanks to my buddy on the inside for sending this my way. But that's me, my daughter, and my wife there. And
you're very excited.
So you know what it is? I wasn't sure what to do with my hands. I almost felt like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights, because once I saw how they were being cut out from like the shoulders down. So anyone who has like their arms up and they're clapping would be cut off. Mm-hmm. So I was very awkwardly like arms down, and I don't expect anyone to know this or realize this, but. Our first outing back in 2012, there was a similar reaction on my face to like one of the first photos we had in the section. I was kind of like surprised, and that's kind of what I was going for. But whatever, no one's gonna know that except me and you guys now if you're watching this.
I hope SNY is taking note of what the emotions are on the plastic cutouts. That way we can get some cutaways to fans, disappointed or elated or whatever it is. I think that might be a fun little thing to mix in on a game where they're up 14-3 or down 14-3, right? Instead of pulling out the baseball cards, start messing with the people's figurines out there.
There is one guy behind home plate that somebody had, once those photos started circulating of the cutout starting to be added to the ballpark. Fans save it. They look for reaction shots, and then that's what they're going to post. So there's one guy behind the plate wearing an orange shirt, and he is holding his head. So I think that's like what they're going to go to for like you said, for the reactions.
Every disastrous thing that happens this year, they just cut to him immediately.
Find this guy. Yeah. There's a reaction for everything probably out there. Misery, happiness, whatever. But I noticed some duplicates. So I don't know if people sent in multiples of themselves, but there are some duplicates.
Interesting.
And people were replying yesterday, oh, it's just, it's so if I'm waiting online for beer, I'm still in the section. One of my guys are still out there, Whatever.
It sounds too much like cloning, You got to be careful with these kinds of things. It can get away from you real fast.
I know that the Mets had a pretty strict policy on, you have to wear Mets stuff in your photo and so on and so forth, but I think it would have been pretty cool maybe if they even did it where they put a Waldo out there or something like that. Like find Waldo and you just change his name to Maldo or something like that, like orange and blue Waldo out there. But anyway, opening day eve, real baseball games will be played tomorrow, today actually, but the Mets don't start until tomorrow. And last night
Thank God. We made it.
I saw a tweet from you that said it, and so it begins. Marcus Stroman, 2 days before the season is about to begin, is now injured. And, there's no room for time right now. Time is very important. There's only 60 games to play, and Marcus did tweet something a little bit ago, about the setback. So if you haven't seen that yet, I know people on, you have to remember, people on Facebook aren't on Twitter. So people that are watching on Facebook might not even known that Stroman was injured because it came out pretty late yesterday. But this is Marcus's tweet. Super minor setback, not even slightly worried. More time consuming than anything. Threw a 55-pitch bullpen on Monday and felt great. Only feel it when jogging and sprinting. However, must be able to run at full speed when competing. Thank you all for your prayers and well wishes. And as we all know, Marcus is a very good fielder at his position. So yeah, he does. He's not. Granted, you want every body part to be great, but like he was saying, he's not trying to sprint to first base on a hit, but he still fields very strongly, and you need this guy to be in great shape.
Well, you have to sprint to first base if there's a ground ball right side of the infield, so those are the minimum requirements of the position, so he's got to reach that point. Now, it's good that he's able to throw bullpens, and so when he is healthy, he'll be able to go out there and give the Mets some innings, and it won't be a long run-up for his arm. But, look, any injury in a 60-game season is big-time problematic, and you hear the word tear and not strain when it comes to his calf. That's, I think, worrisome. I mean, this is something Luis Rojas even said. He's not day-to-day. He's week-to-week. So this is going to be at least a few starts, and the Mets, they don't have the pitching depth right now. Brody Van Wagenen this offseason, so, hey, we've got more starting pitching depth than any team in baseball. Well, now you lose Noah Syndergaard. You lose Marcus Stroman. Obviously, this offseason, Zach Wheeler moves on to Philadelphia. And you only have 4 true starters right now, and you start looking beyond that, and it's, well, is it a bullpen day on the 5th day? I'd love to see them go to Seth Lugo, but that's not going to happen. They've ruled that out, essentially, at this point. So maybe you're looking at David Peterson, you're looking at a kid getting an opportunity in that 5th spot. It's worrisome, no doubt, for a team that last year was so remarkably healthy in the rotation, and now it's going to be a much different story.
Yeah, Stroman has worked so hard this offseason. And, who knows if – I'm sure a lot of the guys are working hard, but he's so visible and he's so out there on the internet that we saw him working out all offseason.
Sure, he had the wine glass on his back, doing the bear crawls and
the guy
pitching on the dock.
The guy worked so hard this offseason, and, I'm sure many guys have. But to stay ready, and it's a shame that 2 days prior, like you said – missing any time right now. Let's say he misses 2 times through the rotation. That's a quarter of the season. Yeah, you can't. There is no room for injury right now, and unfortunately, the black cloud that hangs over Flushing is raining a little early on our parade.
Well, Luis Rojas, he tempted the fates a few weeks ago, and he's talking about how well everything was going for this team in terms of coronavirus and health and all these other things. And really, since he said that, Wilson Ramos is away from the team for personal reasons, and some relievers didn't come back. Marcus Stroman gets hurt. Jed Lowry's going to begin the season on the injured list, and who knows if we ever see him again in a Mets uniform. We get 9 plate appearances last year. So that maybe a little lesson for Rojas talking about this Mets team. Stuff changes real fast around here, it seems. Now, they still aren't in a bad position. This lineup looks loaded. Yoenis Cespedes looks healthy. But the starting pitching, and I think the bullpen too, I mean, the pitching as a whole has to be worrisome, especially when you consider they played 30 games in 31 days right off the bat. So if you're thin in your starting rotation and you're not getting a lot there and you want a bullpen once a week or something along those lines, you're asking a lot out of guys that don't have a whole lot of big league experience.
So you're not an advocate to bring Matt Harvey back, is what you're saying?
No. Well, look, I mean, that's the case to bring back Matt Harvey, right? Hey, you don't have guys to fill these spots as it is. Mets fans, most of them, I believe, now look back fondly on Matt Harvey's time with the team. But Matt Harvey was washed last year. He was washed the year before. He hasn't been the same pitcher since the thoracic outlet syndrome. So to think that you're just going to sign Matt Harvey out of his workouts in Connecticut or wherever he is right now and throw him out there on a big league mound and say, hey, go through Freddie Freeman in this Braves lineup and Ronald Acuna Jr. and get it done, that's not realistic at all. So Matt Harvey is not the answer to the Mets' problems, and if it gets down to the point where they would seriously consider him, they're doomed. Look, they're not going to be good enough to compete if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, my buddy Tim Riley instantly posted last night after the news broke of Stroman. He said, 12 starts needed from Harvey. Let the dark night empty the tank for good this time.
It's already emptied it.
Yeah,
I
think as well.
I hope he finds it and it comes back at some point in the future, but this isn't the setup. I mean, this is a guy who would need some time in the minor leagues, work on some things, build up. Forget about the fact that he hasn't been in camp and been working out and doing the typical things of asked of a Major League Baseball player, and you're just going to throw him out there in the middle of the season. You would never consider that ordinarily, and I understand these are extraordinary times, but he's not Matt Harvey 2015 that you're just going to throw into the rotation.
Right.
You have better options, even if they're not as familiar options as Matt Harvey.
I think, the way the fans, they're programmed is to remember the good times. So things like this happen. It's like, let's bring Bart back. Let's bring back Matt Harvey. But you're not bringing back Bart of 16 or Harvey of 15. You're getting the 2020 version, and let's move on from that. But
look, it's fun for a couple of days to talk about and have the anticipation of a return of like a Bartolo or Matt Harvey. But then by the second inning, what are we doing here? You're not going to be into it at that point when they're down 7-0. So look, that's just what the situation is. Last year, for instance, Matt Harvey ended up in the Oakland A's organization. Sandy Alderson is an assistant to Billy Beane in the front office there now. And I interviewed Sandy a few months back, and he said, look, I like Matt Harvey. I want to see his success. We brought him into the organization last year, and Sandy actually had a long conversation with Matt at some point there, but also watched his outing and had to make a, maybe not decision, but a recommendation as to whether or not the A's should call him up, and obviously did not make that recommendation based on what he saw. So even the people that know Matt Harvey, that are pulling for Matt Harvey, based on what his performance was last year, it wasn't good enough. You could look at the numbers in Anaheim or even how it finished there with the Oakland A's organization, but he's not that guy.
Right.
I hope it happens for him in the future, but not now.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I was always so big on him, and unfortunately, the way that things ended, and his off the field stuff that was always seemed to be hanging over, not only his head but the team and the press, and the way that Joe Beningo would always get on his case. He wasn't always as loved, and his off the field stuff kind of almost seemed more important sometimes than.
Well, he's on page 6 a lot.
It was
he
unfortunate.
enjoyed being a superstar in
New York. I'm not
York.
articulating it correctly,
he
but you know what I
wanted
mean.
to be a lot. Look, he didn't get along very well with the people who cover the team on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Which sometimes hurts your reputation. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. I mean, look, he was late to the workout in the playoff run in 2015 before the series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, something that caused an unnecessary distraction. You had the apology. I mean, look, we know the rundown of some of the things that Matt Harvey did wrong, but I've found, talking with David Wright recently, Sandy Alderson recently, they go out of their way to talk about how much they respect what Matt Harvey not only did for the team, but what he did as a teammate. That he wasn't a bad guy. And Sandy kind of went a little more in depth, and if you want to hear it, it's part of the Athletic podcast I do, the Metrospective, a few months back. I mean, he talked about how Matt had kind of this false bravado that he put out there, and the people that were around him saw through it a little bit more than maybe you did publicly.
Right.
When you'd see the press coverage or things he had to say after the game, or just the way he carried himself on the mound. And I think that made him a sympathetic figure to some of the people that were around him, again, on a day-to-day basis. So you don't always get the full perspective as much as you think you do when you're watching these guys perform night in, night out, every 5 days as it is for a starting pitcher, and even how much they're analyzed in the media, talk radio, newspaper, the whole 9 yards.
So someone who the Mets did decide to bring back was Mr. Juan Lagares yesterday. He was actually already here. He was working out yesterday with the guys, and I think it makes a lot of sense to get a little extra outfield depth. And in the same breath, they also signed Brian Dozier, who was on the world champion national team last year. So, it's always good to add depth. And what do you feel about those moves?
Well, they're a little banged up. Jake Marisnik has a hamstring issue, so Juan Lagares is a similar player, defense first. and late in games can go out, play center field for you. Look, Mets fans know all about what Juan Lagares brings to the table, his pros and cons as a player. And Brian Dozier, look, he's got some pop. I think he's a backup infielder. He essentially will jump into the role that maybe Jed Lowry would have been asked to play, and Dozier could play a couple of different positions. So I think it makes sense to bring those guys in. Melky Cabrera is out. It's not much different than the veterans the Mets brought in a few weeks back. You hope you catch lightning in a bottle for a little bit. The Mets let Matt Adams go. He hit a walk-off home run for the Braves last night. Just kind of one of those things in a scrimmage, spring training game, or whatever the heck it was last night. But, in the case of these guys, you see if you get a good week out of them, something along those lines, and they get added to the mix. You get 60 players on your roster to mesh in and out. So it's a much different year. I think it'll be interesting to see how teams manage the roster, manage these games. You could see a lot more pinch runners and more value in having a speed guy on your bench, considering that you don't have to pinch hit a whole lot. How do the Mets get at bats for Dom Smith? I think it'll be interesting. You would have thought, all right, he'll just pinch hit every single night. Now that's not really an option, so you got to throw him into left field, and he's hit tremendously here in camp, so you want to get his bat involved somehow. It's just a matter of what's the best way to do it. So look, there are a lot of things that are going to be fascinating to figure out over the course of this stretch, this sprint of 60 games. The new rosters, the DH role in the National League. You have a rookie manager in Luis Rojas we got to figure out. So there's a lot of intrigue throughout all of this and how exactly these games are going to play out in front of the virtual fans or the cutouts.
It'll be a trivia question one day. Who was the first ever Mets DH to play a home game? And it's going to be Cespedes. A game that counts. I'm sure there's been DH in the practice or warm-ups. But as you were talking here, anyone who's listening afterwards didn't see it, but the guy dancing in the background is Dozier, and he seems like a good time. So, you see those
you win a World Series, you're celebrating. Everybody's a good time at that point, right?
But, you see the celebration videos, and there's always, some guys who stand out as, the fun ones or the awkward ones, let's say. So, Jay Bruce, for instance, if you remember that, he was looking all confused. I don't know what was going on with that, but there's a lot of good reaction videos of people celebrating in the locker room, and I always feel like a lot of that sometimes is so forced a little bit. It's they're excited, but I feel like the cameras are on and they almost play it up a little extra. I don't know.
I don't think so. And look, I don't need to win anything. If you give me unlimited Coors Lights and unlimited champagne and say go nuts in this room and make a mess, I think I would have a pretty good time.
No, you're right, but I don't know. It seems like some of that is played up a little bit. But speaking of Coors Light, this is actually going to be the first opening day where I haven't had an alcoholic beverage in probably 20-something years. This is going to be my last beer.
Are you okay?
Until
is
Sunday.
All right?
I'm going up to New Hampshire this weekend, and I take my C-class racing career now very serious, so I'm in training mode. So
you're not in the D class, so you have to. You have
unfortunately,
to respect
well, there is no D class. So no, it's ABC. A is pro, B is amateur, C is novice. So I am going up to race this weekend, and I will have Coors Lights on ice in my cooler for after the race on Sunday. But this will be my last beer until then. Cheers to you guys who may be having a beer at 10:19 in the morning if you're watching live.
I'm gonna skip today. I'm still in coffee mode.
Pete's still in coffee mode right now. I actually have been up since 5:45. My daughter started pulling on my ear this morning.
Oh gosh! My
alarm was set for 6:30. She woke me up at 5:45 for absolutely no reason besides just, hey, I'm up. But she bought this thing yesterday. My wife and our daughter went to the mall yesterday for the first time since this whole thing hit, and the Disney store was selling some kind of mask, like a sleep mask kind of, but it was decorated with a unicorn on it or something. So she decided she wanted to wear that last night when I put her to bed, and I'm thinking, great, maybe she'll sleep a little bit later. She woke up 45 minutes earlier than normal, so that didn't really work. But anyway, Coors Light, shout out to Coors Light. An excellent beverage to have any time of the day, 10:15 in the morning, 10:15 at night, whatever it may be.
Tomorrow at 4 o'clock?
Absolutely. 4:10 tomorrow. You can't be at the game, obviously, but you can sit back, relax, press reset, and chill with a nice Coors Light. And don't forget that you can get your Coors Lights delivered now. So go to get.CoorsLight.com to find out how you can get your beers delivered. And always remember to drink responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
We made it, baby. I can't wait for tomorrow, even tonight. I understand for Mets fans, it's the Yankees. But look, it's Yankees, Nationals,
We're rooting for the
baseball's
Yankees,
back, Giants,
aren't we?
Dodgers. Yeah, I mean now the Yankees will be the good guys for a night. And look, you'll be rooting for the Yankees quite a bit when they take on the Braves, the Marlins, if they're competitive, the Phillies. So
it pains me to say it, but you have to be like, you know how it is? It's like, Mets Yankees are always going to be a rivalry. It's always going to be a thing. It's always going to be like, who does your neighbor like? He likes the Yankees. You like the Mets. You're going to talk crap over the fence or whatever, your bushes, or in the hallway in your apartment, whatever. It's always a topic of conversation here, especially in New York. That's just how it is. It's never going to go away. Now, we need the Yankees only play their division and our division. Mm-hmm. We need them, the 20 games they play our division, to win, except for when they're playing us.
Sure.
So, it's horrible to think about.
No, they're the good guys tonight. So let
good
it
guys
happen.
for a lot of
It's
nights.
happened before in interleague play, but
yeah.
it's never so much of the season. Again, these games are all far more meaningful than they have been in the past. Just because you don't have as many of them. I mean, it's not quite NFL football where it's 16 games, but it'll be a little different with baseball. Look, usually any major reaction to what's happening with a team before, say, Memorial Day is an overreaction. The exception maybe being 2017 when Syndergaard and Cespedes went down back-to-back in late April. But for the most part, you have time to make things up. It's not going to be the case this year. You have a bad 2 weeks. You could be done.
Yeah.
You could be done with a bad 2 weeks. Oh, you get red hot for 2 weeks like the Mets did last year in August. You can end up the division champ off of that alone. So, look, it's so vital to get off to a good start, to keep things going, to have guys healthy. It's why the Marcus Stroman news, even if he's saying, hey, it's just a minor setback, it is maybe not crushing, but it severely hurts because you don't know if it's going to be a month until he can come back and be effective. That's half your season.
That's
right
also in the player's DNA to always downplay it. I don't think any guys ever come out and say, yeah, I'm done for the year. But like you said, every game is so important now. Every game basically counts for 3 when you think of it that way.
Yeah.
Like,
every game is a series now.
Right.
Like usually it's just win the series, series,
Yeah.
right? Now it's going to be win each game.
Well, not only that, like back to the Yankees point, we're playing the NL East 40 times. They're playing the NL East 20 times. We need the Yankees to be good. I'm sorry, but like the whole Craig Carton thing they used to do, Mets fans for Yankees, I think it might actually be like this year more than ever. That actually might be a thing. We need the Yankees to win against the NL East. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the share contest because last week I didn't do this till the very end, and I think I should have done it a little bit earlier. Anyone who's watching this live, watching the replay, or listening to the replay across the podcast channels, you have the opportunity to win some free Mets stuff from us. So all you have to do is go to the Facebook page on the original post of this episode or this whatever, Season 4, Episode 7, and just press the share button. You're automatically entered into the running to win the share contest. If you're on Twitter, same thing. Go to the original tweet with this video, press retweet. And if you're watching on Instagram, this is the easiest freaking thing you got to do. And not that many people actually do it, which I'm surprised because you have better chances to win on Instagram than anywhere. Just go into the comments and just write, I want free Met stuff. And we're going to randomly scroll through and pick somebody. So we asked you to do that last week, and those winners are on Twitter, at AlyPop, ALYPOP. On Facebook, Stephanie Lombardo. And that was picked at random, but I think that's Stephanie from Jersey who has the cute little voice who used to call us when we were in the studio.
Okay.
So shout out to Stephanie. Hopefully you're doing great. And on Instagram, at DJ Candy Rapper. That's a pretty good DJ name, DJ Candy Rapper. So those are the winners for last week. I'll contact you sometime today or tomorrow and get your info and mail some free Met stuff out to you. And again, if you're watching now or listening afterwards, to be eligible, just you have until next Thursday to take part in this week's giveaway. But
don't wait. Do it now.
Yeah, do it right now.
Get it done.
Get it done.
Then you don't have to worry about it.
Also want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Dugout Mugs. They got a really cool thing going on over at their website. If you haven't seen, they've been a partner of ours for a while now. They have these really cool bat mugs. They have an MLB license, MLB PA license, and the Hall of Fame license. They are baseball bats hollowed out to be mugs. And what they did was they put together a whole Pete Alonso collection. And I believe 2 of these are brand new. The Rookie of the Year one has been up for a little bit, but the let me see. This one is just a straight up Pete Alonso with his signature and the NY. And the last one here, the Signature Series bat mug. I know our screen is covering it a little bit. It looks like the barrel of a bat, and it's got his signature on the end. But really cool offer. These are $64.99 normally, but if you use the link dugoutmugs.com/Pete50, you're automatically going to get 50% off any of these bat mugs when you're in the checkout. So it's going to still show $64.99 when you get to the page, but when you put it in your cart and click checkout, it'll be half off. And another offer that they have going on right now is their photo mugs. So you could take any photo. You got something that you want to remember yourself at the ballpark. You can't be there this year. You can upload your own photo, and they etch it into the mug. Those are usually $59.99, and those are $39.99. So that's a pretty cool gift for yourself or a loved one, especially
nice.
now. You know, these days you can't be at the ballpark. Maybe put your favorite photo on a mug and drink out of it when you're on your couch.
Yeah, your kid's Little League photo.
Something,
Put it
anything,
up there.
anything,
Yeah,
right?
That's nice.
So definitely share away. As far as not being in the ballpark to watch the games, the Blue Jays are not going to be in their own ballpark either to play the games.
They are homeless.
What have you heard lately with them? Because there's a mess, right?
It is a mess.
Canada won't let them play.
Well, they were hoping to play in Canada in their home ballpark, Rogers Center, and one of the players, Travis Shaw, complained about how onerous the restrictions were going to be. They were basically going to have to quarantine in the ballpark, which has an adjoining hotel, and just stay there for the entirety of their home games. And if they were caught outside of the ballpark, it was $750,000 fine Canadian. So, so they were going to be some pretty strict restrictions anyway. But then Canada said, this is a bad idea. You guys go play elsewhere. We don't want teams coming in after playing in Tampa Bay, after playing in Miami. So then Toronto says, okay, well, maybe we'll go to Buffalo. And they look at the ballpark in Buffalo, and it just doesn't have the modern amenities that the players need. The lighting isn't up to major league standards, so that seemed to go out the window. And then they came up with the other idea.
Pittsburgh.
Well, let's just call Pittsburgh home. We'll play at PNC Park. Our schedule, for the most part, jives with the Pirates, where when they're on the road, we're at home, and vice versa. And that way the players, I imagine, could have something steady where you're staying the entire time. And then Pennsylvania, local health officials said, we don't need that. So now, yes, today is the day that Major League Baseball season begins, and the Toronto Blue Jays have no idea where they're going to play their home games. Now, their first home game isn't until next Wednesday, so they have another week or so to try to put this together. But realistically, they have a day or two to put this together and figure out what they're going to do. But I think the most likely scenario now is that they are going to be the road warriors of Major League Baseball. And you're going to see the Toronto Blue Jays play as the home team in visiting ballparks. And so I haven't looked to see how it affects the Mets when they play the Blue Jays, but if they were supposed to go to Toronto instead, they would play the game here at Citi Field. The Blue Jays will bat in the bottom half of the inning, however. And that's the way that they might put it together. But it's a shame for that team. You know, for the players involved, they have nothing to do with this. And now they can't stay at home. You think about not being able to see family and things of that nature. This is already such a odd season in terms of those things. But now you're living on the road in quarantine in all these different cities. Remember, the rules are very restrictive for what the teams and the players can do on the road. They have to stay in the hotels. They're not allowed to go out and start walking around cities and doing all these kinds of things. So it's a tough situation for that team that, look, they're not a great team, but they have a lot of young talent. This is going to be an exciting team, and now they're kind of getting the legs chopped out from under them.
My first reaction when they said Pittsburgh, I love Pittsburgh, but was the merchandise side of it. I figured, whoever was in charge of merchandising, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't change their uniforms. They'd be wearing their traditional unis. But from, like, the merch side, I was thinking, oh, man, Pittsburgh Blue Jays, they were pretty cool. Like, designing something. And I saw some people posted, like, Pittsburgh used to be a lot of teams did, but the Pittsburgh Pirates wore those pillbox hats.
Yes.
So, like, a pillbox of Toronto would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Merchandise side would have been, my ears go up when I hear stuff like that. But, yeah, it's crazy, and that's a crazy situation because now, like you said, they have, like, today to figure it out, and their backs are up against the wall. But
it's a mess. Have
you seen I don't know if anything has happened with this, but John Heyman last night put out a tweet 5:40 3 last night about expanding the playoffs, and they have until first pitch today, which is basically at noon.
Again, no worries. The season's starting today, and we don't know what the playoff structure is going to be. One team is homeless, trying to find a home. It's going to be an odd year, folks. Buckle up.
Yeah. So if you're listening afterwards, this is what the tweet said. His sources said MLB and the union are re-engaging on the possibility of expanding the playoffs for this season. Has to be done before first pitch, 25 hours from now, which was yesterday. But there seems to be optimism. Hope was to go from 10 playoff teams to 16. But yeah, I mean, the first game, I think, is that I know the Fox coverage starts at noon. I don't know if the game's at noon or if it starts at 1, but
no, it's the first game tonight.
Oh, is the first game tonight? I thought it was 3 games today. Is the first game of the day tonight?
No, there's only 2 games today.
I thought
it's
for sure
Yankees,
it was
Nationals,
3.
and
Brewers.
Giants, Dodgers.
Are you sure?
I guess not 1,000%.
I thought for sure I saw something last night that Fox posted that it was a triple-header today. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'll double check.
But I thought the Brewers were playing today.
Well, the Yankees, Nationals definitely started off. Fauci's throwing the first pitch. No, it's 2 games.
Okay.
You lost.
So I'm wrong.
You lost.
I don't know what I saw then. I don't know what the heck that was. First pitch, Fauci. I can't remember half the times what we talk about on the show or what we're just, chatting about before we start. But first pitches, do you think they're, besides Fauci, which obviously is a certain situation down in D.C., do you think they're going to still do that? Are people going to be invited? Like, is Kevin James going to throw out the first pitch at some point this year? Are they going to still do that? Does anybody care?
I don't think you'll see it very often.
Because it's always to promote something. Usually it's to promote something.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think it'll just be for the first day here. Why would you have anyone inside the stadium? There are restrictions on who could be at the stadium as it is. So are you going to allow, like you say, Kevin James to come in, throw a first pitch, and then he's going to leave right away? Or how does that? It doesn't work with all the restrictions they have on who could be at these games. But I know in Texas, is it the governor? I could mix it up, but they're going to have a politician throw out the first pitch virtually.
What?
So he's going to throw out the first pitch from another location outside of the ballpark.
You know what I would do in that situation? I would record myself doing it awesome and then just send them that.
You get infinite first pitches. You
it's
don't
like
have to
when
worry about going 50-cent style.
Yeah, when it's like those award shows when like the person who wins isn't there and they like remote themselves in from like Dubai with the award, like, oh, I want to thank you for this People's Choice Award. They already knew they won, obviously, but they have like unlimited takes to get that right.
Yeah.
So that's actually the best way to. It's like maybe they could figure out a way to do the holograms. Now Tupac still has concerts.
Yeah.
They could maybe figure that out. Do like a hologram first pitch. I don't know. Do you think
you
Tupac?
need the pressure. That's part of it. That's part of the fun is going up in front of people and showing what you got. Doing it in your backyard and having 15 chances doesn't sound very, very fun to me. I could do that. Yeah. And then you just play it in front of people? That's not a first pitch.
You know, a lot of these teams, when we go on the road, they offer the first pitch as part of our package. Mm-hmm. So I've never done it. I don't want to do it. Unless I'm invited personally to ever throw out the first pitch, which I don't think that I'd ever would have that honor. Darren Meenan's going to throw out the first pitch. But
if they have a first motocross jump, you're in. First pitch.
You know, Chris Wade, actually, our friend, who I was wearing his shirt last week, Island Strong, he's an MMA fighter. He said the first playoff game back where they allow fans in the ballpark, they should set up a ramp on the field before the game and just have me jump it. And I have fireworks go off. Like, you ever see that movie Hot Rod? It'd be something similar to that. But where was I going with that? So the first pitches. So they offer the first pitch opportunity to us, and we always do like the raffle. We've done the lotteries before where we pick the name live on Orange and Blue thing, and they go out and they honor the group. I would never want that pressure because then you have the 1,000 people sitting with us, you know, or whoever's sitting in the ballpark, and you know, obviously people record it, post it online. I would be so nervous of a 50 cent.
I'll take that pressure.
You would do it?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm going from the rubber full on. Yeah, I'm gonna show what I got.
I mean, honestly,
65 miles per hour into the backstop somewhere.
Maybe after my MVP performance last year at Fantasy Camp, maybe it trained me a little bit to have more confidence out there. But I just paid my deposit for 2021's Mets Fantasy Camp if that's going to happen.
I was gonna say, you're feeling optimistic.
Well, deposits were due, and I spoke to Doug Dickey. He does a phenomenal job. Anyone who's watching that's been down to camp or knows Doug or is in the Mets organization, they know how great of a job Doug does down there. And I went in with the lowest of expectations as far as my own personal achievements or physical ability of playing baseball would be. I haven't played since I was 12 or even younger. But I signed up, and it's the kind of thing where they're not holding it over your head. If you decide that you want to change your mind for any reason, you can push it to 2022, or you could just cancel altogether. But they gotta think about it, because it's almost August.
Well, let's hope.
It's September. We're only a few months away now to get down to fantasy camp. But I'm excited for it. I'm not going to be a rookie anymore. And they make you wear that. You don't have to wear it, but there's this lanyard that you wear. It says rookie on it when you go to the welcome dinners and all that stuff. So there was no hazing. No one did anything mean to me in the dugout.
Just a little razzing.
Or the locker. Yeah. It was fun, though. Anyone who has the opportunity, definitely try to add that to your list of things to do once this world's back to normal, whenever that may be. Our 5-year-old has been talking about not having a Sweet 16, and she wants to go to Paris. She's 5. So we'll see if it's open in 11 years. I don't know what's going to be going on in Paris in 11 years from now, but things
do it. Well,
things to look forward to,
This should be the lesson, right, of all of this. If you have the opportunity to do something like that, or you have a dream, don't put it off and just assume, I could do this whenever. Take advantage of the moment a little bit.
I think a lot of people are going to be in that same boat. Like you said, whenever that's going to be, when things are somewhat back to normal, even easy things like you're holding a coffee, like being able to get a coffee and sitting inside with your friends again, like things that everyone kind of took for granted, but like easy things, normal everyday things that you can't do anymore. And you see videos, like old videos of us cheering in the ballpark and jumping around, high-fiving strangers. It feels like forever ago. I just say
people always say, right? I mean, it could all be taken away tomorrow, and this and that, and maybe it isn't that quite that extreme in this case, depending on what your situation is. But a lot of things changed really fast. So when stuff does come back to normal, look, I mean, just live your life out there. Don't put things off as much. I don't know how you couldn't take that lesson away from all this. I don't think that's something that isn't burrowed in people's heads already with all this.
Yeah. How's packing and all that going? If you haven't
it's
heard,
great.
Pete's
love packing.
Pete's heading south, so you got like a week left, right?
Yeah. We're dipping our toe in the water in North Carolina. A little Airbnb for a couple months, so maybe it'll be a 2-month vacation. Maybe we love it and stick down there, but it seemed like a good chance to try some different lifestyles out and see what's up. So the packing starts in earnest really next week, but we already got stuff in like containers, and we got to store some stuff here, and then some things are coming with us. So it's a process. Thankfully, my wife handles. She's like the foreman, I just get involved and sort out a couple things here or there. I had a David Wright bobblehead. It just was a casualty of the move. Fell off. It was in a different area, and it got knocked down, and David Wright didn't make it. So
can you believe it's 16 years
Sad.
ago when he came up? It was like 2 days ago or something like that. It's 16 years ago. Does it feel like that long ago?
It does. Well, I remember where I was. I was interning at TV 55, a local station in New York under C.J. Papa, who was the sports anchor there at the time. We used to go to Shea Stadium and get post-game sound. So it wasn't David's first game. I think it was his second. I went into the clubhouse and interviewed him after the game. And, I mean, he was 21. I was probably 19 or something. And, it feels like a long time ago, to be honest with you.
There was so much hype around him. Lastings Millage, like all these guys that were coming up that were younger, and there was so much hype around him. But I feel like I had to sign David Wright baseball like 2 years before he even came up. Like there was so much talk about this guy who was coming up, and he lived up to the hype, thankfully. But to me, it doesn't feel like 16 years ago. But now we're on the eve of opening day 2020. Did you, before you were working in the field, was opening day something that you would always circle to try to go to the game?
Yeah, my dad and he used to pull me out of school for opening day. So, I mean, at the time, like, maybe it's not the best thing for your future to be skipping school to go to the ballpark. Fun. But as it turned out, it was the exact right thing to be doing. This is my career, talking about sports in the Mets. So, we were there. Bobby Jones hit a home run one year against the Marlins, and I remember David Bell had a big home run against Derek Bell against the San Diego Padres one year. I just remember going to those games. Brian McCray hit one against the Mets for the Cubs one year. But, I mean, I wasn't at the one in 96. That's the one that always sticks with me when Ray Ordonez debuted and threw out, I think it was Royce Clayton at the plate from his knees out there in left field. I mean, that was an amazing game coming back from 6-0 down, and there was excitement that year behind Generation K and things of that nature. It maybe didn't work out long term, but yeah, no, and that was something my dad and I did every year. So yeah, opening day matters, and obviously it'd be a little different this time around for everyone that has their traditions, whether it's going to the ballpark or having a certain tailgate or everything the 7 line does or going to a certain bar. But we'll all manage.
I don't think I've missed one since maybe like 2002 or 2003. Do you remember? I don't know what year it was. But
well, the streak stays alive.
Yeah.
The streak doesn't break because of this.
Well, we're still our cutouts are inside. But as far as you remember the opening day with Pedro and the sprinklers went off and all that, I was there for that one. And a lot of the ones that were close enough, I'd go. So my buddy Shu and I, we drove to Cincinnati for opening day and whatever year that was, and it was raining and hailing. And Cincinnati is a big deal. Opening day in Cincinnati is huge. They have a parade beforehand and everything. We went to D.C. in 2015, opening day, drove down. It wasn't an actual 7-line Army outing, but it was a bunch of our friends. We rented a bus that picked us up from here and brought us down for the day to go to D.C., and that was Scherzer Bartolo Day. And Bartolo beat Scherzer on opening day 2015, and I was drunk on the bus home. Like, this is it. We're going to the World Series this year. I would say that anyway, probably, because that's just the way I am. It could be like the worst year ever or the worst projected lineup ever, and I would still say the same thing. But it actually came true. Granted, we didn't win the World Series, but on day one, after Bartolo beat Scherzer down in D.C., I was feeling all excited on all the Coors Lights in the bus. But yeah, it is going to be a little strange. I'm going to be home prepping for the race on Saturday, so I'm going to be like packing and stuff tomorrow while watching the game, and it's going to be weird. It's going to definitely be weird.
I'm taking those 3-4 hours, however long the game is, and it's absolutely clearing the schedule. This is what I'm doing, locking in. It's just going to be so nice to have it back, whether it be Gary, Keith, and Ron on TV or Howie and Wayne on the radio, that aspect of it. Just having sports back. Like, I watched a lot of MLS the last couple of days and just kind of itching to care about sports in that way again. And we talked about this a lot in the run-up, these last few shows, how it just didn't feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to care about this in the same way that I have. But I think now that opening day has kind of arrived, now I'm ready. I feel good about it. I think it helps that the testing that a lot of these leagues have put in place has seemingly been relatively effective, at least to this point, right? The NBA, their bubble, didn't have any new tests this week. Major League Baseball, I think the most recent was they had 5 players test positive over the last week, and then they had a couple after that. But it seems like it's working for now. I do think, look, the coronavirus is going to play into this season, whether that is, a team having an outbreak, maybe forfeiting games. If you look at the MLS's back tournament, 2 teams dropped out of that. I think it's just going to be natural, especially once these teams start traveling. But you cross your fingers. You hope everybody can stay healthy. You hope that doesn't really occur and that you can have some baseball and that, there is normalcy is the right words, but something comforting for people who've been at home, who've been itching for something to get involved with. There's a lot of community in these sports for people, as 7-liners well know. So having that back is important in a lot of ways. So I think that'll be good.
Speaking of being at home, did you see Howie calling the game on the radio from his basement, watching a television? But I guess there was some kind of delay, and he posted the next day like he knew there was going to be a delay, or didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. But everyone's kind of just doing their thing, rolling with the punches, and trying to get their job done as best they can. But it's crazy. Opening day's tomorrow, and the trade deadline's in like 3 weeks.
We're doing a show from a truck in the Citi Field parking lot.
Yeah. I absolutely
everybody's adjusting.
I love hearing the train pull up every few minutes. I don't know if they can really catch that on the mics, but I love it. And we are looking at the ballpark, and again, there's nobody here but us. But if you haven't noticed, the different gates are named after people, or they do have a similar feel. So not feel, but there is meaning behind some of the design on the ballpark. So the right field gate, I'm looking at it right now, there's a silhouette of Ron Swoboda's catch. So if you look at the bullpen gate, there's a silhouette of Andy Chavez's catch. And there is the Hodges gate. There's the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. But I'm looking at this awning from here. I can't remember who uses this entrance, but there is a Payson entrance. And Joan Payson, if you don't know, was the original owner of the Mets. And this week is Women in Baseball Week. I don't know who started it, but it's a hashtag on Twitter, Women in Baseball Week. And Herm, who has been doing our digital or virtual art show, he comes up with a different drawing each week. And this week, in honor of Women in Baseball Week, he decided to draw Joan Payson. So if you want to catch up on that, there's only going to be one class left, which is next Wednesday at noon. That's our season 1 finale of Our Class with Herm. But I think I've been having so much fun with it that we're probably going to bring it back in the off season, or maybe just do once a week or once a month on Saturdays or something, where we keep it going, because Herm is so talented, and I've been having a lot of fun producing that show behind the scenes. I've been trying to kind of do more with the 7-line, where it's not just forward facing with me as the talent or on camera, where there's so many other people that are so talented that I'd love to bring in the mix. So shout out to Herm, great job on that and great idea. Also, San Francisco Giants, Alyssa Nakin, became the first woman to coach in an on-field capacity during an MLB game earlier this week. First base coach for the San Francisco Giants, and that's tremendous. It's great to see. There's been so many powerful women in this sport, and it's something that definitely should be highlighted as much as possible. The stuff with Joan Payson, I feel like, not that they were trying to hide it over here. I mean, I don't really know what better job they could have done than naming the entrance after her. But a lot of people might not even know that about the Mets and the history of the Mets, and that's something that it's great to see her name on the side of the wall here.
No, it's a deep history with this team now. It's been around for a long time. It's not the Johnny-come-lately team that. Like if you're a certain age, maybe you still think of the Mets as like an expansion team, but
right.
It's a long history now. So there've been a lot of people that are recognized as part of this stadium. Remember, that was one of the criticisms early. It didn't honor enough of the Mets history, but I think that has changed significantly over the 10-plus years this ballpark has been opened. And look, if you're interested in the history of the team, check out the Hall of Fame in there. You can get lost in there for a while. I know, my favorite thing is looking at Howie Rose's scorecard for Johan Santana's no-hitter. And so I just always fascinated how people score games, and then of course it's so neat being that it's a no-hitter in that realm that was so long in coming. But yeah, I mean, maybe not now, you can't go to the Mets Hall of Fame, but sometime in the hopefully not too distant future, you'll be able to check all that out.
Yeah, you could just add that to the things that we take for granted. How many times have we walked in the Jackie Robinson Rotunda and be like, yeah, let's bang this quick right here and go into the Hall of Fame museum? And I've only been there a handful of times, but
yeah, you always feel like you're in a rush. Gotta get in, gotta start it up, and then
get it next time. Especially, you know what it is? Like, I don't want to completely crap on the Mets here, but we've been to a lot of baseball games, and then started to rain.
Yes.
We've been to a lot of baseball games here. I can't believe it's been 10 years, but I don't really feel like this ballpark was designed with a sellout capacity in mind. The bathroom line, if there's a sellout, if it's opening day. Mm-hmm. Don't they would hope that there's every day is a sellout. The Phillies, how many years did they go, or the Cubs or whoever that sells out pretty often. When this place is a sellout, it's not that great as far as the experience is concerned, with waiting on the lines for the bathrooms, waiting on the lines for the concessions. And do
you remember Shea Stadium?
I do, but I didn't drink as much then, so I wasn't getting up to use the bathroom.
Okay.
And even now, when I'm in the seat, I don't really get up to eat. I don't eat at the game. I usually tailgate and have some food out there. But as far as the lines are concerned, if the Mets ever do turn the corner and they go, there's a dynasty brewing in Queens, let's say, let's hopefully see that happens one day where we're allowed to go in the games. Imagine waiting on those lines 81 games a year. I can't picture seeing it. They got to find a way to add more bathrooms. So like the Coliseum, I went to a couple Islanders games last year, and they have an area where like the certain doors of the Coliseum would open into an area of outdoor porta potties. And I know the Cubs, when they were redoing their bleachers, they had they didn't finish in time for opening day. They added all these porta potties. So I don't know. Sorry. Thank you, Mets, for allowing us to use your parking lot. I'm sorry for crapping on you as far as the in-stadium experience is concerned. I love this ballpark. I think they've done a phenomenal job, especially like you said, they added a lot more orange and blue and made it feel more like home. But as far as the bathrooms and the lines are concerned, on a sellout day, it's pretty rough. I mean, I guess it's to be expected, but it's pretty rough. But
food is good, though.
Food is great. I mean, I don't really eat meat anymore, and I haven't had dairy in a long time. But the Aronacci Brothers rice balls, they got the Beyond Sausage rice balls, phenomenal.
I've been tricked by some of that stuff at dinner over the last few months, where you get halfway into a burrito or something, and all of a sudden, the wife says, "Oh, it's vegan."
Is she vegan?
It's the Wonder Meat or whatever they call it. No, but we mix it in every once in a while. But you're surprised. You're like, oh, I didn't pick up on that.
If you came over our house for Taco Tuesday,
Wonder Meat's not what it's called. What do we call it?
You would not even know the difference between regular meat and the crumblers that we buy. You would absolutely have no idea. So whenever you come back from NC and you want to come by for Taco Tuesday, I'll make you some fake meat, and it's actually pretty good.
I won't be vegan down there. We're doing the legit Carolina-style barbecue the first few weeks. Now load it up.
Awesome.
Giddy up.
All right, so this poll I put up yesterday was before the Stroman news, but it is prediction time, Pete. We got to do it. The season is upon us. 2020 season prediction wins. There was 4 options here on the orange-blue thing. Twitter account, that's what it is, orange-blue thing, not orange and blue thing. The options were 25 to 29, 30 to 32, 34 to 37, or 38 to 41 or more. You see my little check mark there. So I did vote for 34 to 37. Granted, things have changed since this poll went up with the Stroman news and everything. Where do you see the team today, right now, as far as wins?
The Stroman news hurts. I predicted on earlier this week that the Mets win the division. I think there's a lot of advantage to playing your home games in New York, considering we're in the midst of this pandemic and how New York has handled it versus a lot of these other cities. But, look, this pitching staff is a concern now with Marcus Stroman out in addition to Noah Syndergaard. So while I'm very bullish on the lineup, the Mets are going to score runs. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to be able to prevent them and not wear out this pitching staff the first few weeks of the season. So, I would say above 500. I think they're very much in the mix for a wild card, but I think you should be rooting over these next few hours for the playoffs to expand to 16 teams, because that will be the difference as to whether or not the Mets make it into the postseason.
So you're thinking 30 to 33, or think they break 34?
30 to 33. That's where I would put them right now. Look, again, the Stroman news, it really hurts because it wears out not just that one day every 5 games. It wears down your pitching staff as a whole, where now you're asking for 5 innings out of your bullpen that day instead of 2 or 3.
Yeah,
it's killer. There's a whole domino effect that goes along with that, especially considering how much the Mets play the first month of the year.
Well, Pete, the rain couldn't have came at a better time. The show is just about to end, and what's funny is there's this little, people can't see it, but the main camera here is resting on like a shelf that's built into the side of the truck. It seems like the rain isn't really hitting it, but it couldn't have came at a better time because I was nervous about the rain. But I do want to promote.
At least it cooled off about 10 degrees.
Yeah, thankfully. I was dripping over here. Let me ask you, what kind of deodorant do you use?
What kind of? It's Brute.
Brute?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find, but it's the only stuff that doesn't leave me just with stains everywhere.
I've been wearing women's deodorant for like 15 years, and I ran out. And I was in a jam, so I was shopping yesterday, a couple days ago. I was at the supermarket, and they couldn't find the one I liked, so I ended up buying a men's deodorant again. It is not. I don't know if you could smell me. It is not really working that good. So I had to go.
Women's stuff's better, huh?
I went on Amazon right when I got here and ordered some women's deodorant that should be coming in. But anyway, I am giving away free rally caps right now on the Seven Lines website, and that I did not stutter. They are free. It's a $40 cap that you can get for free, but you have to spend $50 first. So if you go to the7line.com and you fill your card up with $50 worth of goods, the rally cap will automatically be added to your cart for free. So a $40 value on the cap, and you get it for free. Just a little celebration of opening day, a little flash sale, even though it's going on for a little longer than like an hour. It's been up for a day now, but I think we have like 50 left. So if you want to spend $50 or more on anything new on the site, definitely hop on over to the7line.com and do that, and we will send you a free cap as well. Pete, we have probably, I'm going to sound like a kid here, we have one of the most fire holiday sweaters coming out this year.
You're already looking months ahead,
dude.
huh?
It's holiday.
Yeah,
think about
look,
it.
that's what you got to do.
It's
my
almost
man.
August, but I'm dripping over here in the humidity. But I'm thinking about
Think about
wearing
wool.
this ugly sweater. And in the past, you may have seen we've done like they were never ugly, but quote unquote ugly. We've done Nemo as Elf. We've done the polar bear sitting on the back of a bear with Pete Alonso, David Wright, Jose Reyes, Jerry Blevins. We've done a bunch of different ugly sweaters, but they were all screen printed. This one is full knit. It's awesome. So I saw a sample yesterday. It looks really great. When I'm able to show that off, I will show it off to you guys. And a version 3 of the Home Run Apple Beanie is coming out as well. So I know it is July still, but I am in fall and winter mode. So stay tuned for all that stuff. But thank you guys for watching. Definitely share the show. If you missed the whole spiel in the beginning or the middle, share the show, and that's how you get involved in the contest each week where we give you free Mets stuff. If you're listening afterwards on SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, maybe you're watching on YouTube, rate, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. And Pete, we only have one show left next week. I'm going to miss you, but it's been fun so far, and hopefully we're talking about 6 Mets wins next Thursday.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll have real baseball to talk about.
I can't wait.
Thank goodness.
All right, let's go Mets. 30 games in 31 days. It's all upon us, and hopefully I don't get electrocuted taking all this stuff apart. All right, guys, let's go Mets. Thank you, Mets, for letting us use the parking lot. Sorry for shitting on you about the ballpark experience. All right, see you guys.